I'm sitting on the foundation of the perfect garden. This is my compost heap. Well, what is compost? Well, simply put, it is rotted organic matter that's been turned into rich, dark garden soil. If you were to look at this under a microscope, you wouldn't see just soil. You'd see a little city full of microorganisms, fungi, bacteria, molds, all working together to break all this down into a perfect ingredient for our natural garden. Now, this is something our parents and grandparents have been doing forever. They used to do it the real simple way. Go out into an area you might want to have as a garden someday, dig a hole. It's as simple as that. As big or little as you want it, and then take organic matter out of your kitchen, out of the garden, and dump it in. Banana peels, apple cores, leaves. You can also use manures from pigs and horses, chickens and cows, but not dogs and cats. And once you've filled it up, you can put a little water in there, get it to about the wetness of a wrung out sponge. You don't want it dripping wet, but in the ground, it is going to drain away, so it probably won't be a big issue. Once you've got all your organic matter in there, including some grass clippings, just cover it back up with soil and wait. All those little organisms that we talked about will do the rest of the work for you, breaking it down into compost. You're going to find that for every problem we have in the garden, there is also a commercial solution. There are literally dozens of different compost bin designs on the market. These are simple because all you do, open them up, take your organic matter, throw it in, and make sure you wet it to about the wetness of a wrung out sponge. Yes, paper towel and a little bit of newspaper can go into your compost bin. You can also make one with stuff you have around the house already. A garbage can works beautifully. Just drill enough holes along the bottom to where any moisture that goes in, the excess moisture will drain out. This also makes it easy because once the compost is done, you can roll it right into the garden and dump it there. And since we want to turn our compost occasionally, a round one makes it very easily. There. Now, my favorite kind of compost pile. Just a quick word about money. You walk into a garden center, there are going to be no shortages of ideas to help you spend your dollar. Some of them are not all that helpful. One of them is Compost Starter. This bottle says it has 500 million microorganisms to get your compost done in half the time. Forget about it. There are plenty of microorganisms in the soil and in the surrounding area. You don't need to pay money to get more of them. Now, for the perfect compost heap, you might want to put it out of the way because they're not the prettiest thing in the world. It's a big pile. But what you want to do is stake out an area, or at least mark out an area, 3 by 3. That's the minimum size you want to do. So it'll be 3 by 3 by 3 foot tall. You can go taller than that, wider than that, longer than that, but no smaller than that. First thing, many of the books say to put down twigs because you want a nice carbon base that allows a lot of air in. The trouble with using twigs is they don't break down as quickly as the rest of the compost, so when you finally crack into your pile, you're going to have a bunch of twigs to deal with. What I've found works better is a bale of straw. Now you can pick these up after they've been used to keep erosion down on construction sites and things like that, or you can go buy a bale. It costs anywhere from $3 to $7 depending on which part of the country you're in. Put that down and then wet it. On top of that, you want to throw a nice layer of your organic matter. Remember, you're going to have a lot of grass clippings probably, everybody seems to, but you want to use them sparingly because they kind of stink as they're breaking down, and you don't want too much nitrogen. You want probably twice as much carbon materials, those are the brown garden waste like leaves, as you do nitrogen type materials. After every layer, make sure you water it real good because this is a compost pile that we're not going to do anything else with. We're going to let it sit and finish without ever turning it. If you want to turn it, you want to quit your gym membership, you can, but with this one, you don't need to. After you've built it up 3 feet high and watered each layer, you take a pipe full of holes and ram it down into the middle. What this allows is for air to get in and feed all those microorganisms because you want them to have oxygen throughout the process. After you've put down your last layer, cap it off with a nice thick layer of straw on the top and then let it sit. 3 to 4 months later, you come back, this will have broken down. Now, once you go out to your compost pile, you're going to find lots of critters in it. Some of them are bad guys. You don't want them in your garden later, but in your compost pile, they're actually helpful. Look at this huge, meaty grub. Looks like something from one of those reality TV shows. In your garden, as this becomes an adult beetle, it's a bad guy. It'll eat stuff. But in your compost, look at how much organic matter it could move through its body in a day's time. It will help you break down your compost. But when you finish your compost, you take guys like this out and kill them. Either feed them to the chickens or dump them in some soapy water. Then you've got a pile of fresh compost for the garden.